4:35. Today is August 4th, 2016, and we have a quorum. Greg is Skyping in, and we will call the meeting to order at 4:35. As I said, this is a special session. Agenda number 1, consider and take appropriate action to accept the resignation of Jennifer McKnight, General Manager of Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1, to be effective August 31st, 2016. And I'll read what I was handed on Monday. Please accept this letter as my 30-day notice of resignation as General Manager of the district. My last day will be August 31st, 2016. I appreciate all the opportunities I've been extended at the district, and I wish you all the very best for the future. Sincerely, Jennifer McKnight. Does anyone have a motion?
I make a motion to accept Jennifer's resignation, effective August 31st.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Hayes and a second by Director Thomas. Greg, you can hear us?
I can.
Okay. I'm taking the vote. You heard the motions?
Yes.
Okay, and you have a copy of what was read? The resignation letter?
If it's been sent to me, yes.
Okay, but you heard what I read?
Yeah, I heard what you read. Yes.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. I'll call for the hands. All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Agenda item number 2, consider and take appropriate action regarding hiring new general manager. Were you emailed the job description and the posting?
Yes.
Okay. Has everyone seen this or read this? Yes? No? Anyone? Okay.
Seen it.
Okay. Do you have any comments on this?
Nothing jumps out at me initially.
Okay, in the past, what we did was we created a committee, hiring committee. It consisted of 2 directors and the staff, which included the supervisors of water, wastewater. There was finance and HR and billing, which is Terry now. And we had the town secretary involved. We also invited the town manager. At the last time he was invited, and he denied participation. And we had the fire chief. At that time, it was Danny Thomas. So does that sound acceptable to everybody to go down that route this time?
Did we not include Pam last time?
No.
I assume this time fire chief wouldn't be part of it. We don't have a permanent fire
Right,
chief.
correct. Okay, and in the past, we had the president. He did not want to participate. I was part of it, and I think Bill Armstrong, who's in the audience, he was part of it too. And excuse me? Did someone say?
Bill's asking you a question.
Oh, I just acknowledged that you were here.
Okay.
I suggest that we do the same. I'd be a participant, and Vice President Wilson, if he's acceptable to that. I'd like to make a motion that we create a committee. Myself and Vice President Wilson will be on it with the staff that I mentioned.
Shouldn't you be on
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second. Discussion?
I'd like to take a little bit slightly different approach. I think we need to look at an interim person, and then I think while that person is interim, I think we need to get a professional firm involved to do a broader search. Been down that road before, and I think that would be an optimum solution. I don't have a problem with the committee if they're looking for an interim person while we do a larger search for a shorter period, interim person for a shorter period of time. I do think that the presidential duties are pretty full, and I think that the position should go to 2 of the other directors. I would suggest Director Hayes and Director Wilson to be on the committee to do the interim search,
On the committee,
for the interim search.
I'm satisfied with the committee.
Okay, we're in discussion, and there's a motion and a second, so we'll discuss it. Not really in favor of spending $50,000 or $60,000 or whatever it is for a firm. Y'all did that for town manager in the prior. I think it came down to 4. Our current town manager was in that group. He was cut from the final batch. The first 3 dropped out. We were left with 1. And then we come back to, Stephen, who is the person doing the job now, which he's doing a good job in my eyes.
I think you're misinformed on a couple of your facts. It was not $50,000 or $60,000. The town spent $23,500 in a contract with the group to get it. The other candidates in the final analysis, if I recall, we had either 3 or 4. None of those dropped out. We selected. Initially, after we selected the first one, he then declined. But all candidates remained active throughout the selection process.
Well, I'm not going to debate the facts. The facts were there were 4 remaining. The current one wasn't on there. There was one, if I remember right, Colorado, Las Colinas area, and Keller. Is that correct?
I don't recall exactly where each
And
one.
then if they denied or took their name out, they dropped out in my eyes. But
Kevin,
we're not
there
going
was
to
only
debate
one.
it. That-
Kevin, wait a
that's-
minute, back up for a second.
Mhm.
The purpose of the committee is not to hire someone. The purpose of the committee is to pursue all avenues available, which would include what Bill is suggesting, that we look at having the possibility of an outside firm also take a look. You don't pay those people any money generally unless you hire the person they've brought to you, and then it's usually a % of whatever the salary is. So you know that number if you find someone you like. Now, we also know, Jennifer, was it TWBD that we made the posting on that you responded to? Is that where we put it?
I believe it was TRWA.
I'm sorry. All right. Listen, we've got TRWA that we can put this post on. I've worked very, very closely with Lisa Bloomfield of Bloomfield and Dye. She is the accounting firm that does the records for nearly every mud district in North Texas. I can certainly pass this on to her and let her circulate it and then turn it over to you and Greg if she has any follow-up. There are other sites that we can post this on. AWBD is right now looking at a search, identifying 1 or 2 search firms to look for possibly a new general director for AWBD for a future point in time. I work very closely with Michael Parks on that. I can contact Mike and again turn him over to you guys. I'll just be the contact, but I can pass him on to you. He can give you leads. So my view is it's the committee's job to pursue all possible avenues of putting the word out. Then as you get replies, if you've got something that's good from a search firm, then you should bring it to the board and let the board decide. If you got something that pops up out of one of these other choices, you bring that forward and then let the board decide. But I don't think you should shut down any one method. I mean, all of them should be pursued.
The normal method of, if you use a search firm, would be to, I believe, an RFI or an RFQ, to have a firm come in, make a presentation, and then select that firm or to make the decision at that point. I don't think there'd be any cost initially. The one that the town used, the senior vice president for Texas now, is a retired VP on a human resources with the San Antonio water system. Water and wastewater are one of his specialties, something that he actively is engaged in. So, I mean, that would just be one firm that I would know of, but I would strongly inclined to move it beyond just our capability in
I
the
didn't,
search.
I didn't disagree with you, and I agree with what Director Thomas said. I mean, the committee's purpose is to, it'll be posted on whatever the best postings are, and if the board agrees, then we can have a firm come in and submit their candidates too.
I
obviously,
think-
the-
I think-
the
I think-
obje-
what-
Hold on, wait. The objective is to get the best person possible.
And what Bill is saying, Kevin, is there may be multiple firms that the committee can go identify. And what Bill is saying is you let those firms come talk to you about their capabilities, and then the board would select of those firms one that we would like to, to go forward. We wouldn't have all 5 of them take off and run with this thing.
And I don't have a problem with the committee doing, some research to come up with a person who would be, the temporary fill, because we may need to do a temporary fill to get a stronger search, to allow for a stronger search. But I think it's important that we go down that path.
If I can add a comment, I actually do like the idea of having a interim person, getting a consultant, kind of what was done with the fire station, someone to come in for 3 to 6 months. So a good search. I like the approach that Kevin put forward on finding the permanent solution, and even can be used to find a temporary solution. But I like the idea of having a temporary solution in place, so we're not forced into a position to where we're having to rush and make a decision because things are falling to the wayside because we don't have anyone in place. So if whoever made the motion is amenable, I would like to pursue putting someone. I'd like to offer modifying the amendment to seek a consultant or someone temporarily to fill the position, so we can do a full search. Whatever way the board wants to go, and then that way we can make sure we get the right candidate, a good candidate.
Hey, Greg, question for you.
Let me second. I'll second his
Wait.
amendment.
Okay.
And Greg, I'm in favor of what you're doing, as long as,
Wait, just a second. Okay, we have an amendment to consider interim and to possibly bring an interim person in. Is that correct, Greg?
That's correct.
In addition to posting a position, are you also including bringing headhunters or a hiring firm in?
Yeah, I'm not opposed. I think it'd be a good idea to get a firm in just to see if we can get a better, just to widen the net of potential candidates.
Do you understand the motion?
I believe so.
Do you accept it?
Yes.
Okay.
The purpose of the committee at this point would then be to do the temporary, and then we will look at a larger firm to do a permanent replacement.
Well, the
If I
purpose
underst-
of the committee is to, if there's job postings and there's results, to compile those, look at the interim. There might be someone out there that can start next week that everyone accepts. But the purpose of the committee is to do 3 things. Get with a headhunter, right? Get with outlook of maybe bringing in the interim person, and post the job and look at the applications on those.
No, as I understand the current amendment, the committee would do the temporary. We will do research for a firm to do the permanent. If I understood the amendment correctly.
Greg,
Because
what was
we-
your amendment?
Yeah, well, so someone temporarily, and then
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up.
look at as post other then so it's
That's not going to work.
Greg, we're only hearing half of what you're saying.
You may be overdriving the mic.
You want to try again, Greg?
my was to one the temporary person.
You're still breaking up.
Need you to back up from your microphone, please.
I'm
Back up from your microphone. I think you're overdriving and you're clipping yourself.
okay. What's this?
That's better.
Okay. Mine was to get a current person in to fill the role, and then to bring in.
Greg, you're still breaking up.
to can well own individual thing, and I mean commit for the solution as well, kind of those for the house one but
Would it help if he dialed back in, if he'd logged out and dialed back in? Because Greg, regrettably, we're only hearing about every third word you're saying.
okay.
You want to try dialing back in, Greg?
Jennifer call.
You have a speakerphone?
Well, make sure the video offer.
Hey,
Let me.
call my cell phone, Greg. Pam, can we use his picture and cell phone?
I don't think so, no.
Greg, you want to try it one more time, and then you'll have to dial back in again. Try speaking lower, maybe.
Okay. What I to
No, it's still not working.
His VoIP's not working right.
Disconnect and dial back in.
okay.
Technology, you gotta love it.
Could I add just a quick word?
There's no citizen.
I know there isn't, but that's why just a quick word.
Go ahead.
I talked to Lori. She said there's no provision from anybody from the peanut gallery to speak in this meeting. I would like to ask that maybe this process be done in an open meeting where you can get participation from the audience.
Well, what I did is I just did a call without the video. We're hoping that it'll improve the quality.
Is that okay, Pam?
Well, I would say, given what we've already established, and we can recognize his voice, and we can clearly see that this is him speaking based on the Skype, just coming off of the Skype, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
So my amendment was that we modify the existing amendment to include putting a temporary person in place. We can use the process that Kevin described to fill that position, as well as then we can transition to full-time position and take our time. And we can also use an outside firm to source candidates as well.
Did everybody understand that?
Yeah.
So to post a position, and the committee would look at all the alternatives, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Hey, Greg, I think I understand what you're saying. You intend for us to move concurrently on both paths, I assume. That while the committee looks for a temporary, we don't wait for that temporary to start the process to look for a permanent. We start both at the same time, is that correct? We start both efforts at the same time.
My thought is we get the temporary person in, and then we can actually make sure that we get a good candidate in, so we don't feel rushed, because there's a lot going on right now.
I see nothing about the process that gets rushed. And, identifying candidates, it takes a while, takes several months. We didn't hire Jennifer overnight. And while you've got a temporary person, that's wonderful, and I totally support that. But at the same time, we need to start the process. And all we're asking the committee to do is go find a bunch of alternatives for us to consider as a board. When that could be search firms, that could be TRWA,
I mean,
that
I'm
could
not
be
opposed to that.
other sites. But I think it's foolish to sit back and say we're not even going to look for a long-term person until a temporary person comes in for 3 months.
Well, whoever's on the committee, I mean, number one, the job should be posted, so it's out there rather than sitting on our hands. They should also be looking for what's available on an interim basis, and also seek out headhunters or search firms and bring those candidates back to the meeting that we have on the 16th. Is that okay, Greg?
It is.
Okay, does everyone agree with that? Okay, so let's clear up the motions. Can you make that motion, and then Bill can agree to it or disagree, whatever he wants to do?
I came in after the original motion had been made, so I'm sorry, but we need to make sure we're following it backwards correctly.
Okay, the original motion was to create a committee to post the posting, and for that committee to seek the candidates and weed them down, then bring them to. There's an amendment that included a search firm and also the possibilities of bringing in an interim person. That's the amendment, which I just summarized earlier. Are you up to speed?
Okay, and so,
There's a motion and a second by, I think, Director Hayes.
okay,
And then on the amendment, there is an amendment by Vice President Wilson and a second by Director Rose.
okay. And did the amendment pass?
We haven't,
Okay.
we're just summarizing it
Yes,
right
call the
now.
vote yet.
And then we're going to call the
We were
vote
in
for it.
discussion of the amendment.
All right, thank you.
So you agree with what I said, Greg, is we
Yes.
post this, and I'm just summarizing your amendment, tell me if it's right or wrong. We post it, we also seek out the possibilities of interims, and we also seek out search firms or headhunters and bring those back to the board on August 16th. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, that's the amendment. Do you second that?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment, okay? And all hands in favor of the amendment? Okay, it's unanimous. Greg?
Yes.
Okay, that's all unanimous. Okay, now we're back to the original motion about creating the committee, and myself and Vice President Wilson will be on it, and we carry out what was in the amendment, basically. And there's a second by Director Hayes, is that correct? What? Was Thomas? Okay, my mistake, Director Thomas. You second my motion, is that correct? Okay. So Director Thomas is the second, I made the motion. All in favor of that motion?
Yes.
Greg, okay, it's unanimous, thankfully. And you even stayed on the voice, okay. We have those, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion by Director Thomas, a second by Director Rose to adjourn. All in favor, show of hands.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, the meeting is over at 4:58 on the 16th.